Well, my beloved, I make no excuse, of course, in telling you that we shall spend the whole evening in the study of the noble science. I suppose of all the correspondence that I receive, and that in the course of the year runs into a very great number of letters, there is no subject that seems to give more perplexity to students than meditation. Why, I hardly know, but in the Western world there has been so much written about meditation and that science under other names, and so much of it has been written in the future tense that I think many sincere seekers have become confused. Therefore, we shall come together in deep thinking. You must do your thinking as we go along, but if you feel that you cannot completely follow what I may say, well, just get the thought that it at all events is going into your subconscious mind. In the nature of the case, meditation is difficult. Well, why should it be difficult? Because, my beloved, it seems to me, as I think about it, that the higher ones of wisdom dare not put this great science into the hands or before the attention of the profane. We must, it's quite obvious to see, we must express to ourselves a deep and holy, truthful desire to learn. I do not think that it would be possible for anyone to truly learn true meditation merely out of curiosity. We could read all the books and we perhaps would do a good deal of superficial practice, but unless we come with all our hearts so that we can lose ourselves in the science that we are searching for, I'm afraid it would be of little avail. And then our subject is by no means new. All great religions have always claimed to have an inner side. This inner side has always been revealed as a priceless treasure only to the selected few. These mysteries of the inner side of all religions have been perforce wisely, very jealously guarded, handed down usually by word of mouth for generation after generation. From great antiquity, this has been the case. Of course, the initiated know that the living truth is embodied in esotericism rather than in exotericism, and they declare that only through esoteric practices can a human being understand even the outer or exoteric beauties of life itself in what appears to be the outer world. Even that which I have just said is not quite fully understood by many who claim to be metaphysicians and so on. Then, in other words, there is a mystic side to life which reveals its mysteries only through a search. And that search must be followed by sincere practice of the inner laws of life. Well, all religions have made this claim. Early Christianity, of course, taught it quite freely. Modern Christianity makes the claim for the simple reason that such an inner side must exist if a religion is to be strong and stable. But, my beloved, all men are not at the same level of evolution, so that it were useless to intellectually give to them the same religious teaching. This fact has always been acknowledged, and I am sure you will at once acknowledge it also. That which would help the intellectual man would be entirely unintelligible to the stupid, while that simple intellectual teaching necessary to the young soul would be crude and boring to the philosopher. That is quite clear to see. You wouldn't begin to teach the calculus to a child 5, but you would begin by teaching that child to count upon its fingers. Well, while this is clear in regard to the intellectual understanding of religion, the great teachers and masters of all ages have declared that there exists one single esoteric secret which will enable all men, irrespective of what they may know or may not know intellectually, to develop themselves spiritually on the inner side, esoterically, to the highest point, so that in their outer or exoteric life they may express the highest that they are evolutionarily developed to express. And that, of course, is the ultimate aim and end of man's existence. Finally, to express God. By our works alone are we known, are we remembered. Now, this science is called by many names, though it has always been claimed to be the one secret. Now, though called by many different names in different religions, I may say at once that this secret is the actual coming into direct union with God, with the universal intelligence, with the moving wisdom of life, of coming into the heart of love, of coming to realize in the silence our own divine nature. Well, what is this way? How is it done? That is the question. I wonder how many times I have been asked as a teacher, how can I do it? It might superficially appear as rather unjust, because who can teach another? We can teach the method, but we cannot be, of course, their meditator. Now, my beloved, this evening, then, it is my intention to allow myself to be guided by the immortal spirit within me to endeavor to explain this secret. I shall endeavor to do so in such a manner that, I repeat, irrespective of what we may know or may not know intellectually, any sincere student in mental physics may be able to learn it and use it. Now, the word that we use in mental physics for this secret is meditation. Therefore, let us, as well as we can, prepare ourselves to come together. As deeply as possible, we will enter that magic realm of the silence where we may commune together and together reach the highest spiritual height that we are capable of reaching. But I cannot do it for you. You cannot do it for me. All that I can do is to indicate the way. Now, here we are together, most of us seated in the sevenfold position. Perhaps it would be well for me to give you an idea as to why it is advisable to sit in the sevenfold position. If one did not receive any intellectual explanation, that would really not matter if he or she sat in that position. Now, of course, in the Oriental countries, little children are taught from boyhood and girlhood, very young boyhood and girlhood, to sit in that position. To the Western world, it is quite a new thing, and the consequence is, the human body being what it is, a great deal of inconvenience is sometimes, most times, experienced. Well, I have no doubt that many of you in our class tonight have some knowledge of meditation. The sevenfold position is the most natural way to sit, so that we place the physical organism in perfect correspondence with the living, moving force of life itself throughout the universe. It is well to sit so that the buttocks are as large as possible, as flat as possible. I'm sure all of us sitting understand that. The buttocks occupying as much space on the floor as possible. Well, why? It is because the body is truly an electrical instrument. And for the purpose of meditation, we should look upon it as an electrical instrument. In sitting in the sevenfold position, we are contacted with 7 distinct electrical connections, so to speak. Now, with the spine straight, the whole column not twisted or bent in any way, the 2 buttocks form the root of the tree. The root of the tree in the earth upon which we sit. They form 2 electrical connections, the right being the positive, the left being the negative. But let us be quite sure as I speak that your spine is quite straight. The spine must be straight. Of course, as I inferred, I know that this position to some is quite uncomfortable. It may be that the body will not readily adjust itself to this position. If that be so, then sit on a stool, or even sit in a comfortable armchair if you must. You must be the judge. This sevenfold position is the preferable position. This instrument, the body, is an electrical instrument. This body is infinitely more accurate than the most perfect timepiece ever devised and kept in order by the mind of man. In the sevenfold position, we place the body in the position most certain that the universal force may readily flow. Now, as you sit, the 2 buttocks touch the earth, making 2 electrical connections. Then the 2 ankles, as they rest upon the floor, make 2 more electrical connections, making 4. The 2 legs, as they are crossed above the ankles, make 1 more electrical connection, a total of 5. And then hands upon the knees, palms upward, make 2 more electrical connections, a total of 7. Now, there will be no need for us to hold a discussion on that magic number, 7. But all of you in mental physics are to learn that the universe is composed of 7 distinct kingdoms. You all know that. And that man, standing at the apex of consciousness below the celestial kingdom, embodies all the kingdoms that are lower than his own human kingdom. And everything that we can see or touch or sense or dream about is made up of 7 distinct sevens. From the atom to the sun, this magic 7, as it relates to the 7 kingdoms, is identical. And then it is more easy, of course, to see the magic 7 in all the 7 kingdoms. The very words that I am speaking now are sevenfold in nature, as the breath which causes the words to come forth from my mouth is sevenfold. This, of course, is a little difficult. It's impossible to intellectually explain, but through practice we will all be able to feel in the 7 great divisions of the body a sort of subtle correspondence between what seems to be your own body and what seems to be a sevenfold force that you can feel in all the 7 divisions of your body. Now, if it were possible for me to demonstrate at this moment, it would be quite easy for me to demonstrate to you that there are only 7 divisions in the body. There are several hundreds of organs and different parts, each different from the others. But there are only 7 divisions in your body. Now, therefore, my beloved, we now come to the point, as we enter into the practice of meditation, the point of watching our breath. Watching our breath. How many times I've been asked about that? What do I have to do to watch my breath? I remember once in New York I was speaking about this on a very cold night, and a woman asked me the question, and she said, "Do you mean this?" And she breathed heavily, and out of her mouth, of course, came the vapor. And I said, "Yes, I mean that, if that is all that you know. But I mean very much more than that, and that is what you must learn." So we come to the point of watching our breath. Having placed ourselves in the 7-fold position, we are ready. We are the humble meditator who comes reverently before the throne of wisdom, and the first thing that we have to achieve is a consciousness of a cessation of our own physical forces. Now, in our practicing, particularly in our more advanced work, we have seen and we have practiced together how to increase, how to develop, how to come into control of our physical forces. But when we enter meditation, then we are interested in achieving a consciousness of a cessation of our physical forces. We do that by watching our breath. As I speak, you see what the effect will be with you as you not only listen to the words, but you practice within yourself. Well, then we sit. We watch our breath. We feel our breath coming in and going out, coming in and going out. And as we watch our breath, naturally through our feelings, we may possibly get the idea of a slowly, evenly, rhythmically moving wheel. The breath is coming in, which is half of the wheel. The breath is going out, which is the other half of the wheel. And as we watch, it seems that this feeling of wheel-like motion increases, causes us to imagine that the wheel grows larger. Gradually we find our breath becoming longer. It is extended. It elongates itself. It becomes smoother. And when we first begin to watch our breath, it seems that there are many rough, hard, uneven points over the surface of our breathing. You will notice it now. Some breaths are longer than others. Some breaths seem to be cut up. But gradually, as we watch, we find that our breath becomes smoother and fuller. And as the breath becomes smoother and fuller, and as that can only take place gradually, we begin gradually to feel that the body is moving, or it seems to move. It seems that the body is slipping away, melting itself into the atmosphere, so to speak. Why, there is no feeling in my body. And yet, as I watch, I am all feeling. I could not tell you whether my hands are here or there. I could not tell you the difference between the top of my head and the soles of my feet, all seems to be making itself known to me in a peculiar unity of feeling. Yet my body seems to be gone. Now, as we sit still, the body, though it may seem to be gone, may seem also to grow larger. It may seem to grow heavier or lighter, as the case may be. And we may seem, so far as our feelings are concerned, to be seated in the very center of this thing that we call our body, our whole body, filled with feeling and yet having no physical feeling. No, my beloved, it is not easy to describe in words one's own feelings and experiences, and it would be distinctly unwise, even cruel, for me to indicate with any degree of exactness what you may experience. Rest assured, however, that whatever changes of feeling come in your body, those are the feelings you should watch. Watching, you will have revealed to you what I am now talking about. And so, as the body becomes rested and stilled and in repose and fully equilibriumized, we get a feeling of beautiful balance and rhythm. And our breath is the only thing that we can feel coming evenly and restfully in, going evenly and restfully out, becoming so soft and smooth and true that we can scarcely differentiate it between the incoming of the inhalation and the outgoing of the exhalation. There seems to be no difference. It may be that the breath seems entirely to be stilled, and it makes us feel so perfectly at peace. 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 That is the first step, the feeling of peace in the body. The feeling of peace in the body. Now, my beloved, it may be at this instant that you feel your body slumping a little. If so, do not be disturbed, but with practice, your posture will become unchanged. It will seem that you are almost rigid. But that is the first step, the feeling of peace in the body. Now then, the next step is the art of stilling the mind as you have stilled the body. Now let us proceed slowly. The second step is to endeavor to do with the mind what we have already done with the body. Our body is calm and peaceful, but our mind, why, my mind is jumping about. It seems to be like a maddened monkey. It brings me all kinds of ideas. I think of something in my home, in the office, something, perhaps I didn't lock the garage door. I wonder what's going to happen. I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of that. All kinds of ideas pass rapidly and in a medley and chaos through my mind. Indeed, my beloved, some of the pictures coming to you may even be cruel. They may shock you. But have no fear. Just sit and watch. That is your mind. That is just how your mind acts upon itself. Even when you are aware of watching and more regretfully, also when you are not watching. So as you sit preparing for true meditation, watch the performance in your mind, just as if you were watching a movie. And then, when you feel that you've had enough and you desire to control it, you've seen what's going on, well then gently declare, but with great inward emotion and the highest sincerity, peace, peace, I am at peace, be still, I am still. And in a very little time, after proper practice, you will find that your mind too will seem to fall down. It will seem to relax. It will seem as if a cloak has fallen from your mind. It stills itself. The brain activity will not be so intense. You will feel that you're having great difficulty, perhaps, even in conscious thinking. You simply cannot think. So powerful is the essence, the spiritual essence of yourself, portrayed through your mind and your feeling. And gradually, it will seem almost as if there is sleepfulness in your mind. You will feel with such infinite inner stillness that your mind is like one great ocean, or you may feel that your mind is like one great eternal crystal. And then, why, you are sitting in the very center of this great crystal jewel within the crystal. You know what you felt when you stilled your body. It is the same process, but much finer. You may feel in the mind the same kind of feeling that has come into your body, however. Now you are ready to declare that which you desire to feel, that which you desire to create. Peace, peace, peace. Again, I may say that I cannot with definite accuracy tell you what you will experience in your mind. Watchfulness, however, in a deep reverential state of mind, will reveal all to you and make you happy. Do not make any effort. The more effort, the less success. Remember that whatever it is that you are seeking will reveal itself to you. Will reveal itself to you. All that it requires is stillness. Now, my beloved, there then are the first steps. Watching the breath, stilling the body, and then the art of stilling the mind. Now let us again proceed slowly. The third step. You begin now to declare the living word that creates. You are now on the very verge of creation itself.